Today we're going to talk about how to run Facebook ads. And this is really, it can be a very reliable and cost-effective way to attract new customers. So if you're looking for another way to generate leads, and this is especially important if you run into verification issues or other things like that. There's a couple other use cases for Facebook ads that we'll talk about, but it's, another way to find potential leads for not necessarily repair, because that's really like, something happens and then you need to repair. But for upgrades, for new doors, things like that, there's a use for it. And just branding and getting your name out there. So we'll talk a little bit about the use cases um, for Facebook ads. And so we'll talk about the what and the why. We'll talk a little bit about tactics, talk a little bit about Facebook ad creatives. This should be a relatively brief one. We're not going to spend a massive amount of time on this today, but I want to give you a good overview of what's involved here. If you watched these before, we work with a lot of garage door companies, and we have a lot of experience, and you can read all these things. But I want to get right into it. And so this is part of our digital dominance method, which we talk about every time. And we're really talking about PPC here. This is a pay-per-click, kind of an outdated term, because there's so many different models for doing these things. It's not always just on a per-click sort of thing. We're really also talking about retargeting here, and even social media. So let's just get right to it. Facebook ads 101. So what are Facebook ads? Facebook ads are paid messages that businesses place on Facebook to promote their products or services. I think everybody knows what these are. And there's tons of different formats and ways that you can do this within Facebook. And I should point out here also that Facebook and Instagram are basically the same thing. So if you want to run Instagram ads, you have to run them through Facebook. And you can run Instagram ads with your Facebook campaigns if you want. Okay. And Facebook ads are the primary source of Facebook or Meta's income, similar to Google. And so, how important is Facebook? I mean, it's just a massive platform with a ton of users, and it's one of the key ways to get your messaging in front of people, and we use it all the time um, for various purposes. And so, are Facebook ads worth the money? Uh, yes, typically they are. Now, these are averages. They can range all over the place, but cost per thousand impressions, which is you'll hear as CPM, is 11. That's really good compared to like, say, like running a local TV or radio campaign. I think on average, those can be closer to 20 or $30 CPMs. Cost per clicks generally can be pretty low. Cost per leads can be low, depending on how you do it. And I've seen leads this low for my own campaigns. The average return on ad spend is often 3 to 1. But again, the averages are so meaningless. The point is, on average, it works. Okay. And so, again, your mileage may vary. These are all numbers that you really have to learn by doing it yourself. Additional benefits, they are scalable. They still have some very helpful and good targeting options that you can do. We'll talk a little bit about that. Um, and it's just one of those things. It's like at some point you just have to do it to see how it works for you. Your audience is there. There are ways to engage them at various levels of the sales funnel. And so it's something you want to think about doing. And right, the real question is, why wouldn't you run Facebook ads? There really isn't a good reason for you not to. And we'll talk about the different kinds and why really everybody should be doing it. So we've talked about campaign tactics. Well, first of all, what do you need before you begin? Well, you need a Facebook page. You have to have Facebook access to that page from your own personal account. And you need to have an active ad account. And that's it. And there's really four basic relevant campaign types or tactics here that you want to look at. Excuse me. Um, there is the like campaign, there's the retargeting campaign, leads campaigns, reach campaigns. We'll talk about each one of these. The like campaign or the likes campaign is really just very simple, and there's really only one time you use it, and that's if you have a new business or a new location. Generally, you start out, you have 0 likes, you have 0 engagement. And if a customer is going to check you out, generally they don't want to see that because they'll say, oh, well, why doesn't this, is this a real company? Why don't they have any likes or engagement? Not everybody will do it, but some will. And so it's pretty relatively cheap to run a paid likes campaign and targeting at people who, would like your would like your page. And so you run a short likes campaign, build up some social media followers so it doesn't look like it's a brand new page. That's really all there is to the likes campaign. And there's a number of ways you can do it, but it's really just basic and straightforward. I don't want to spend a lot of time here. The second one, and this is the one that everybody should be running, this is a retargeting campaign. And so what a retargeting campaign does is it uses Facebook's advertising platform to target individuals who have already shown interest in your products or services by interacting with your website. And it doesn't have to just be your website. It could be interacting with ads you run. It could be interacting with social media content you put out there. It could be interacting with your Facebook page. But the most common use case is people who've interacted with your website. And there's many complicated ways you can do this. But it's relatively simple just to set up a retargeting campaign for anybody who's visited your website. Someone visits your website, now they go on Facebook, they see an ad with a call to action saying, "Hey, remember us? Come back," or whatever it would be. And so to do this, you have to set up a custom audience, which we're not going to get into the technicals of this today. This is just a very broad overview. But you know, in the case of a retargeting campaign, you're going to want to set up a Facebook pixel that captures on your website, that captures your website visitors, and then that will create a custom audience. Or with that, you can create a custom audience in Facebook to run a retargeting campaign, targeting people who visited your website in the last 30 days, 6 months, whatever. Okay. And generally, you want a good call to action like, you know, get a quote or give us a call or whatever, whatever it is, you're trying to do. Okay. The next thing, and this is a little more complicated, but it's useful, is leads campaigns. And so these are a type of advertising that allow you to capture customer information directly within Facebook using pre-filled forms rather than sending them to landing pages. So this is a case where rather than having someone click out of Facebook and go to your site and fill out a form and do all these things and hope they do that, you can have them just complete a form in Facebook pre-filled with information that they've already given to Facebook, like their email and their name and things like that. So there's just a much lower barrier to entry here for people to engage you. Now, that can mean that you'll get lower quality leads. But on average, I'd say that's not true. And if you have a good enough offer to where someone would be interested in it, they'll submit your lead form. And so maybe you'd run something like $100 off a new garage door opener, or $200 off a new custom garage door, or whatever you want to offer. This is the sort of thing that you would run a leads campaign for. You're giving them, they wouldn't opt into it if it's not something they would consider, right? And so you're able to collect leads that way. And that's basically what these are used for. So, you're not going to use them for service. You're not going to run like, "Hey, broken garage door spring," fill it. No, because when that happens, they're already on the phone, right? That's where your Google ads are covering you. But for other sorts of things you want to focus on, even commercial or things like that, this is where you can run leads campaigns, assuming you have a good audience, and we'll talk about that here. And so the best way to maximize lead campaigns is to use an email list of buyers. So if you keep track of who buys services from you, and especially if you've been in business for a while, so you have a nice list of several hundred, several thousand customers, this is a perfect list to use because there's a statistical profile in there of people who choose to do business with you. And you can upload that to Facebook, and that will be an audience. It'll be a custom audience, but then from that custom audience, you can create what's called a lookalike audience, which is Facebook will go out and find a bunch of profiles that look like your customers. So that's a perfect audience to market to. And if you don't have that, then you also can do this by getting an email list of a specific industry you want to target. So if there are particular commercial companies that you like to work with, like say auto body shops or whatever, you can get a list of those and similarly upload that to get a custom audience and a lookalike audience to then run leads campaigns targeting that specific vertical. Okay, so that's basically how the best way, I think, to get your audiences put together for a leads campaign. And the creatives are very similar. I mean, it just depends on what you're trying to do. In this case, you're trying to generate leads, and so you want to have an offer and you want to have copy that resonates with the type of buyer that you want engaging with your offer. Okay, and that's leads campaigns. We run these all the time, and they do very well for us. Okay, the last one that I want to cover today is a reach campaign. And the reach campaign, there are some use cases for this. I would say the best use case for this is in conjunction with offline marketing. And the best one I can think of here is postcards. So if you're gonna, and postcards are great. We have customers that get great results with them. And if you're gonna run a postcard campaign, what I recommend is getting that creative set and using that exact same creative in a Facebook reach campaign over the geographic area where you're dropping the postcards. And so what'll happen is you're sending out all these postcards, and at the same time, the people that you're sending these postcards to are also seeing the exact same creative on Facebook, probably multiple times in a reach campaign. And so what you're doing here is you're just getting, you're kind of amplifying the message, you're amplifying the touch points here of your postcards campaign with a Facebook campaign, and it just brings you higher presence of mind. And so these are great for branding. These are great for introducing a new location. These are great for introducing a new business to a service area. It's even great to just run covering your service area generally and just having them running all the time over the places where you want people to get to know you. If you're doing that and they have the broken spring, they may remember you from a reach campaign that's been running forever. So there are multiple use cases for this. Probably the best one and the lowest hanging fruit would be if you're doing some sort of offline campaign that you can run in conjunction with a reach campaign on Facebook. And the really his goal is brand awareness by reaching as many people as possible. So obviously people who are not getting your postcards will see it, but who cares? It it will hone in over time on people who interact with it. And so as it runs, it should get better and better targeted anyway. Okay. And creatives can be whatever you want. So, what did you learn about the different campaigns? Really, what we've covered here is the basic ones that you would want to do. And while you can do a lot more, this will cover probably 95% of the advertising that you'd want to do on Facebook. So, let's talk a little bit about creatives. And there's really two things you want to keep in mind here. There's captivating visuals and compelling ad copy. And so with captivating visuals, obviously on Facebook, people are not looking for ads. They're just scrolling through content. They might be watching reels, they might be, looking for friend updates, funny things, whatever. So you have to fit into that ecosystem to get people's attention. And so generally speaking, 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to have a video as your main creative. Okay. Failing that, you have to have an image. If you only have ad copy, don't waste your time. It's just not going to do anything for you. You've got to have a visual. Okay. And it has to be relevant, it has to kind of, you know, indicate what you're doing. So, if you are running an ad for garage door openers, you should have probably a video of one of your techs installing a garage door opener with the garage door opener kind of highlighted in the video. Something along those lines. Okay. And then, you know, there's all these different rules for this. Keep in mind, Facebook's mostly on mobile. So, there's certain aspect ratios you have to do. We're not going to get into all that today, but, it doesn't hurt to capture these images on mobile either. They're already kind of pre-formatted in that sort of portrait format for running on mobile. Okay. And pictures do well too. And these are just some examples of um, relevant visuals that will interrupt someone who maybe have a need here. So, they see garage doors or like a nice house that could use a new garage door, or obviously these are commercial garage doors. Someone who is interested in those sorts of things, this might arrest their attention. And so that's, if you're not going to use a video, use visuals like this. And then compelling ad copy, what you really want to do with your ad copy is call out the customer you're talking to. And, don't write a novel. Nobody wants to read that stuff. You can test it. Sometimes long form or long copy works, but I like, maybe this is just me, but I just like, is this relevant to me? What is this about? What do you need me to do? So some people, the long copywriting will work. I don't read any of that stuff. Like, let me read 3 or 4 sentences and I'll decide if it's relevant to me or not. It's worth testing both. And different people will react differently to both. So you may find that you want to run both long and short form copy. But the main point is make sure you're talking to in your copy who you are advertising to. That's what matters. Okay. And always have a call to action. Don't make people wonder what it is you're trying to get them to do. Just give them a clear path and let them choose whether they want to follow it or not. Okay. And this is a good example, and this is one where, yeah, this is a repair, but maybe not one that somebody takes action on right away. So, there are, failing garage doors or failing openers that haven't quite broken yet. They haven't taken action yet. This is a nice deal. It's got a deal. It's got a call to action, what they got to do. Good example of something to run. So your next steps, maximize your Facebook ads. This was brief, but I hope it gave you the reasons why this is not a platform you should be ignoring. At minimum, go set up retargeting ads. It's just as simple as that. I've had retargeting ads running for years, and every now and then I'll remember, oh yeah, I should probably update this copy because my beard's grayer now, or whatever. But at least get those up there, and then think about ways that you could run lead campaigns and consider how you could use reach campaigns in conjunction with other forms of advertising. Very much recommend it. And so to do this, go ahead and do it yourself. It's pretty straightforward. A lot of you are very technically savvy, and I'm sure you can do this on your own. Or there's always done for you. With do it yourself, we release videos like this. I may do a longer form Facebook ads video in the future where we kind of get into more in the weeds on how to do this. There's lots of information online how to do this. It's definitely something you can do for yourself if you have the tech savviness and the time to do it. Absolutely. Now, if you want someone to do it for you, this is something we can do on our PPC plans. And so, we've obviously done this before. You do it all the time, and you generally get better results when you're working with someone who has done this before if you haven't. And so, whatever you do Facebook ads, do it yourself, hire us, hire someone else. Either way, get it done. Okay. And if you want to talk more about it, we offer free consultations. You can wait for our lead ads online if you haven't seen them yet and fill that out, and we'll prepare a call for you. We do a whole market audit, competitor audit, and we try to make it a good use of your time. We give you a plan to follow to get great results, and talk about what it would look like if we were to work together. So if that sounds interesting to you and you don't want to wait for the lead ad, go ahead to garagedoormarketers.com/apply-now, or you can give us a call anytime. And if someone's available, they'll pick up the phone and talk to you. And that's all I got today. Nice and short. Hope it was helpful for you. And you're definitely going to want to come around for the one next month. There'll be email information coming out about it shortly. But I will be getting into a very interesting and cool topic next month. You will not want to miss it. All right. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.